County Sheriff's detectives say 41-year-old Jay Maynor is the one who came to this home and shot and killed Raymond Brooks.
He's out to kill somebody. He's out for vengeance.
The wife hollered, "No, no, no, no."
A father did not want his daughter to relive the sexual assaults she suffered by having to testify in court. So instead, he settled on a 40-year sentence in the murder of his daughter's abuser. Joining us tonight is Thomas Drake. He was Jay Maynor's former attorney. Mr. Drake, thank you very much for joining us. First, I want to ask you,
thank you.
There was a plea negotiation here. He confessed, plea negotiation. What was negotiated? What did he give up? What did he gain?
Well, the first thing is I'm of the opinion that Mr. Maynor should have tried the case. A few days after the murder of Mr. Brooks, the second alleged victim came into my office and signed an affidavit under oath that he did not want Jay Maynor prosecuted. Now, that's the fella who had brutalized his daughter and had beaten her up. And all of these things were the catalysts that led Mr. Maynor down the path to right some wrongs.
And Mr. Drake, I'm going to stop you for just a second. I'm going to stop you for just a second so we can clarify this, because what you're talking about is important here. On his way to the home of the man who sexually assaulted his daughter when she was 4 to 9 years old, he also knew about another young man who allegedly was abusing his stepdaughter. So he actually, and this is confirmed, he fired some shots in this young man's direction, didn't hit him, and then he drove on and shot and killed the man who abused his daughter so many years ago.
Yes.
So you're talking about that young man who survived, missed the shots, he went and said he didn't want him prosecuted?
Yes, that's correct. And the sad thing is not only did Mr. Maynor receive a 40-year sentence on the murder, which he was not guilty of. If anything, he was guilty of manslaughter at the most, okay? Then you have the next case where he pleads guilty and receives a 20-year sentence. And this is a case where we had an affidavit within days of this, where this alleged victim comes to my office voluntarily. We didn't invite him. He came in voluntarily, showed up. We drafted an affidavit with his consent where he says, I don't want to prosecute this man under any circumstances. He was actually ashamed of what he had done to this man's child. So you have all of these factors that combine. You have a child under the age of 12 who is molested. Then you have Mr. Maynor, who is ashamed of this, feels like he's to blame where he's not to blame, and feels like he's failed this child. And then a 20-some-odd-month sentence for this pedophile. He's back on the street, and while this child and my client think about this every day of their lives, they also see this guy.
But the net result is he's in prison for 40 years. Stacey Honowitz, you are a prosecutor of sex crimes, and there was a sex crime here, but there's also something called vigilante justice. And this man committed a crime, and he's paying the price for it.
Look, I mean, everybody who hears about this case is going to think to themselves, what if it was me? What if it was my kid? And why couldn't I do what he did and get away with it? But just like you said, Gene, you're talking about being a vigilante. We can't have that. We are not in the Wild West. If you excuse this behavior and you say it was okay for him to do this, then it opens the Pandora's box for everybody to go ahead and try to fight back and revenge on anybody that's done wrong to them. There was a case years ago where a little boy was molested, and in the courtroom, the mother of this little boy took out a gun and shot the molester who had confessed. Everybody thought she shouldn't have gone to jail. Well, she did go to jail, and it was because you cannot be in that position where you decide to take it upon yourself to kill or murder somebody else because you feel as if you were wronged. But Stacey, on the other hand, Brian Claypool is joining us now, a famous defense lawyer. Look, the man that abused this little girl got 2 years in prison. Yeah. And this man who believed he was doing it to save his daughter is getting 40? Yeah. There's something wrong with this.
Yeah, Gene, the punishment doesn't fit the crime here. We have a law on the books in Alabama called heat of passion. And this is a poster child case for heat of passion. What that means, in effect, is that Mr. Maynor was provoked. He was provoked by the conversation that he had with his daughter. And within the same day, you had just had Julie on. She said on the same day, he went and killed Mr. Brooks. He was provoked. And what that means is that excuses the murder. It reduces the murder to a manslaughter. Mr. Drake is right. This should have been
but
a
that
manslaughter.
wasn't done.
Right.
So
he had ineffective.
Anything to do now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe Maynor had ineffective counsel with this public defender. And if I was representing him, and I would volunteer to help this man, he should file a motion to revoke this plea deal based on a violation of his constitutional rights of ineffective counsel.
All right. Thomas Drake, any response to that before we go?
Well, no, I would agree with that 100%. After Mr. Maynor was indicted, that's when I had to withdraw on the case. I had essentially put in $20,000 of my own money to prosecute at least 3 mandamuses and interlocutory appeals on his behalf to obtain bail where he had been denied bail, and they had set a cash-only bond of $500,000, and here's a man of modest means. That bail was set for one reason, and that was just to leave him in jail. There's no way he could mount a defense that way.
Stacey Honowitz, I want to give you the last word.
No, I was going to say, listen, I don't know what the plea negotiations were. Certainly the defense attorneys make good points. There's jury pardons if it would have gone forward. There is heat of passion. There's provocation. And certainly anybody looking at this is going to say he doesn't deserve more time than the molester, but a life was taken. And so all of these things need to be taken into consideration. Let him file a motion and say he was kind of railroaded into taking this plea to murder and see what comes of it.